Fat loss doesn't start in the gym. A lot of people stay overweight even when they try to work out, because the real problem usually isn't what happens for 1 hour in the gym. It's what happens during the other 23. It starts in the quiet habits that happen when no one is watching. Small habits that look harmless, a glass of juice here, a drink that looks harmless, food that's always sitting in the kitchen, waiting. Individually, none of them look like a big deal, but together, they quietly make fat loss much harder than it needs to be. And when you remove some of those habits, something interesting happens. Fat loss suddenly becomes a lot easier, even before the gym becomes part of the plan. So here are 5 habits that help kill fat, even without the gym. Stop drinking your calories. One of the easiest ways to sabotage fat loss is drinking calories without noticing. A lot of people are careful with food, but then drink hundreds of calories without thinking about it. Orange juice, soda, sweet coffee drinks, energy drinks. Liquid calories are dangerous because they don't make you feel full the same way food does. You can drink 300 or 400 calories and still feel hungry right after. And alcohol is even worse. Not just because it's calorie dense, but because of what happens inside the body. When alcohol enters the system, the body treats it like a toxin. So instead of focusing on burning fat, the body prioritizes breaking down the alcohol first. Fat burning slows down. On top of that, alcohol tends to increase cortisol and tends to make you hungrier. That's why people who drink often don't just consume the calories from the drink. They also end up eating more afterward. So the easiest way to remove hundreds of calories from your day isn't always changing food. Sometimes it's simply stopping the habit of drinking them. Walk every day. Walking is one of the most underestimated tools for fat loss, mostly because it looks too simple. People assume that if something doesn't feel intense, it probably isn't doing much. But fat loss doesn't only respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. And walking is one of the easiest ways to increase how much energy your body uses every single day. It doesn't destroy your joints. It doesn't require extreme motivation, and you don't need to recover from it the way you do from hard workouts. For people carrying more body weight, that matters even more. Because walking lets you burn calories without beating up your joints or leaving you exhausted. Do it often enough, and those extra calories burned every day start to add up in a way most people underestimate. Something small done daily is often far more powerful than something intense done once in a while. Eat the same meals more often. One thing that quietly sabotages fat loss is constant food decisions. Every time you ask yourself what to eat, there's a chance the answer won't be the best one. And those small decisions happen several times every day. When every meal is different, it becomes easy to grab whatever is convenient. Something fast and sugary, something highly processed, something that barely fills you up. Then a few hours later, hunger comes back stronger than it should. Having a few default meals removes that daily gamble. Meals you already know, meals that fill you up, meals that don't push calories too high. They don't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler they are, the easier they are to repeat. When food decisions become predictable, fat loss stops depending so much on willpower and starts depending more on structure. Stop buying trigger foods. Fat loss is mostly about discipline, but environment matters much more than people realize. If highly processed, calorie-dense food is always sitting in your house, eventually you're going to eat it. When food is constantly visible and easy to grab, it slowly turns into a habit, a handful here, a snack there, something while watching TV. Individually, those moments feel small, but they add hundreds of calories to the day without much thought. And over time, those calories are exactly what keep fat loss from happening. One of the simplest ways to reduce that friction is controlling what enters your house in the first place. One trick that helps a lot is not going grocery shopping when you're hungry. When hunger is high, the brain starts looking for fast energy. And suddenly snacks, sweets, and calorie-dense foods look much more appealing. The cart fills with things that seemed like a good idea in the moment, but end up sitting in your kitchen all week, tempting you. Because once certain foods are already in the kitchen, the battle has already become much harder. When they are not there, the decision isn't even there anymore. Stop rewarding yourself with food. A lot of people don't just eat because they're hungry. They eat because they feel like they earned it. A stressful day at work, a long week. So food becomes the reward. Just something to make the day feel better. The problem is that when food becomes the reward, it slowly turns into the solution for everything. Good day, you eat. Bad day, you eat. Tired, you eat. And over time, that pattern adds a lot more calories than you realize. Fat loss gets much harder when food is tied to emotion and reward. Breaking that pattern doesn't mean you can't enjoy food. It just means food stops being the prize for every moment of the day. And if you're someone who feels like fat loss has always been harder than it should be, I understand that frustration. I used to weigh 300 pounds. For most of my life, I felt like my body held onto fat much harder than other people's. I tried everything you can imagine, but progress was always slow and inconsistent. Eventually, I realized that some bodies simply don't respond the same way to average strategies. That's why I created a free guide called 7 Steps That Got Me Out of Obesity. Inside the guide, I also show a simple trick that helps you figure out your body type in seconds. That alone might explain why you've spent years trying to lose weight doing the same things everyone else does. Watching people around you lose weight while your body barely changes. It's free, you have nothing to lose, so grab the guide right below. The link is in the description. The truth is, fat loss begins with small daily habits, just the things you do every day without thinking much about them. What you drink, what you keep in your kitchen, how often you move, how you structure your meals. Individually, these habits may seem small, but repeated day after day, they decide whether fat stays or starts going away. And when those habits change, something else changes too. Fat loss stops feeling like a constant struggle. And for the first time in a long time, the fat finally starts coming off.